Every year, thousands of Canadians travel to Mexico to soak in the sun and sand. So there's interest in the situation down south. And lately, the news has been troubling. Drug-related violence is surging. Today, for example, a shootout left 4 people dead in Benito Juarez. Just yesterday in Ciudad Juarez, soldiers killed at least 30 suspected members of a drug cartel. But perhaps the most dangerous town is Ciudad Juarez. Our Adrian Arsenault traveled there earlier this year and found that amid all the violence, sport can provide a reprieve.
For a soccer star adored in his hometown, Daniel Frias of the team Indios isn't big on being showy. No fancy sports cars, no fancy jewelry. And no mingling with crowds. Certainly not here in Juarez, Mexico.
No, peor. Ahorita no se puede andar.
You can't walk peacefully here. There is danger around every corner.
La ciudad es muy peligrosa, la verdad.
The deserted pitch where the former gang member first played is the sort of place you only stop and look at for a few minutes.
No. De nadie.
Nobody comes here anymore.
No viene nadie. Oh.
Time is short. With a promise to meet up later, he and his injured ankle head off to practice. Team Indios needs the practice.
La pasión y el entusiasmo de nuestros aficionados.
Juarez needs Indios.
Un equipo local que no solo nos ha dado la oportunidad.
Even if you don't speak Spanish, the message of the team's promotional video is clear. The swelling music, the crowds. This is a popular club, not necessarily for what happens on the field, but for what doesn't happen in Juarez when the team plays.
Is it true that the stadium is one of the safest places in Juarez?
In fact, the game day is one of the safest days in Juarez. When the Indios are playing, there's no killings.
The mayor of Juarez has a light tone for a man in charge of a place often labeled the most murderous city on earth outside of a war zone. He's always guarded from his enemies, drug lords and corrupt cops. There are lots of both.
The chief operating officer of the police was stopped going into the United States with a ton of marijuana in his car. That was the second highest ranking police officer in Juarez.
In the mayor's first week in office, he fired half the force because they were too tied to the drug cartels, were protecting and killing for them. Now new recruits are sometimes scared to be recognized by the public, and the public don't find many reasons to trust the police. In a poor city with 25% unemployment, the cartels have no trouble finding those eager for cash. And there's more than enough work ferrying coke and marijuana to the U.S. next door. That means turf wars, and those mean blood.
What's proving incredibly depressing for the people who live in Juarez is that even though the police and the military have increased their numbers to well over 10,000 in the last several years here, it's just no safer. In fact, in the same time period, the murder rate has gone up tenfold.
And the anger towards the mayor has become dangerous. Just days ago, a pig's head was delivered to him with a warning he has weeks to live. The drug lords or narcos even put this sign on an overpass calling for him to resign. He won't, but solutions are still elusive.
Now we have found killers, sicarios. We have found that they are working for under $50 a week. They're killing people for under $50 a week. They're not killing to get rich. They're not killing because they're part of a large criminal organization. They're killing to put food on the table, and that's why social programs are so important.
And so, soccer. NGOs are creating teams, buying uniforms, and making the case that kids can dream of something better. Not always an easy sell. The boy in the hooded sweatshirt once killed. The teen in black was a dealer. And young Choco is all smiles, but also all torment.
I hear my mom crying all night long, and now my dad has moved away.
That's because his big brother was murdered a few months ago after being kidnapped from the front gate of his house. Kids in the neighborhood say the cartels did it. Choco's mother thinks it was the police.
I just don't trust anyone. People fire bullets everywhere.
Not safe at home or on the streets, but Choco still has a goal.
I want to play on a big team.
And in Juarez, that means studying at the feet of giants at an Indios practice. The team regularly reaches out to kids like Choco and his friends, and they have one role model in their sights, Daniel Frias. The kid's coach explains why.
We know that he was belong to one of the gangs on the other side over there of the city. He left the gang and he started playing more, and then he gets more better.
It's sometimes awkward meeting your heroes. Frias is polite, but doesn't stay for long. He's forgiven. These poorly paid players are distracted and also in trouble. The cartels murdered an Indios coach in January. Athletes were threatened. No new players seem to want to join the team.
Violence has been horrible, but we're not doing very good. However, we keep doing the good things that we know we can do, such as being part of our community or our city that they need us.
These kids do especially. But what they may not yet realize is that Indios has lost so many games that if the team doesn't start winning soon, it will be dropped from the league. No more Indios heroes, no more filled stadiums, or parents' Sunday truces while the team plays. How rare and special have those moments of peace been? Well, consider an average Juarez night. Back with the police, it's 7:30, a call to a house for reports of gunfire. 2 bodies are inside. The police can't stay long. Moments later, they're off to another scene across the city. A man had been called to the front door of his house by strangers, then shot 4 times in front of his family. It is murder number 14 this day alone, and it's still early. It's getting worse every day, this cop says. More deaths, more executions. And more burnout with always chasing horror. Another call, this one about a carjacking, and again, lights flashing, the race is on. But there's a problem, the time. A soccer game is starting. It just can't be ignored. Could it be any clearer where hearts are here? It's Mexico versus New Zealand. At home, still clutching their Indios shirts, Choco and his friends are engrossed too. For the moment, they're safe. For the moment, they're happy. Juarez gets its piece where it can. Adrian Arsenault, CBC News, Juarez.